maybe a new way of thinking, a different way of thinking about growing your business and being the go-to in your industry. And so I wanted to start off just sharing with you a little bit about my own story and why I'm so passionate about this, because being the go-to has a lot to do with visibility and how people perceive you, how you perceive yourself, and how willing we are to be out there and have the finger pointed at us, in a sense, saying, do I need someone for this? Yes, go to her, and being that person. And so let me give you a little bit of background as to who I am and why I enjoy talking about this, sharing about this. So I am a mom, first and foremost. I have 8 children. And so I had 4 older children from a previous marriage, and they are 27, 25, 22, and 19. And then I got remarried and had 2 sets of twins back to back. So wasn't quite planning on having such a large family, but basically that is where we are. My twins are 2 sets of twins. They are ages 10 and ages 6. So if you have any children, I might have kids around your same age range, because I've got them all over the place. And when I was younger, I wanted to be a youth pastor. So I went to the university, I got my degree in religious studies, and I did that for a few years. But because I had children while I was still in the university, it was very hard to work with youth and also work or have my children and be able to take care of them on nights and weekends, which is when young people want to hang out and do things. And so I stopped doing that, and I went into the world of entrepreneurship. And for the next 27 years, I basically lived and I still do live in the world of entrepreneurship, working all different kinds of businesses, different kinds of industries. I've sold my own products, I've sold services, I've sold coaching, I've done network marketing, direct sales. I've done a little bit of everything. And so I have experience in all different forms of business. But this last year, something happened. And this is kind of the point that I want to get to. And then I'll get to a story from 3rd grade that I think you would like to know. This last year, you know how entrepreneurs, they will choose a word of the year. And so you'll see it on Facebook, right? Everybody's talking about, oh, what's your word for this new year? What's your word for this new year? And I was really stuck, because I was like, well, organization, consistency, you know, what should I choose? I would see them and they would all look really good. And I couldn't decide. All of a sudden, I was walking actually here in my bedroom, and I heard speak. Speak is going to be your word of the year. And that made no sense to me. I was like, okay, that's interesting. What does it mean? Well, the following week, as I was in prayer, I just heard, this year, I would like for you to go live every single day of the year and do a devotional. And I said, well, do you know how many children I have? And you know how is this going to happen? But I said, okay, I'm just going to try this. I'm just going to listen, follow what I feel I'm being led to do. And I did it. I'm on day 243, I believe, now, of going live every single day. And those lives actually ended up turning into a podcast. And it actually ended up changing my whole brand from being just regular business to faith-led business, which faith-led entrepreneurship. So why am I telling you this story? Because a vision and a dream that I had way back when I was 15 that led me go and study a specific thing. And then I got an interruption right at the beginning of that, and I thought that was never going to come back, came back 27 years later. And there was a purpose in that. And it gave me the opportunity to have a story within that. And so I think lots of times we think that we need to have everything laid out for us and a clear vision of what it is we're going to be doing as entrepreneurs. And sometimes it's just the life lessons that you have that will take you through it. So visibility, why is it important for me? Because when I was in the 3rd grade, I'll tell you another quick story and then I'll get to the meat of this. When I was in the 3rd grade, I have one older brother. He's a year and 9 months older than I am. So I was in the 3rd grade, he was in the 5th grade. And I had very, very long, right now my hair isn't as long, but I had very long hair all the way down to my back, super thick and curly. I actually have naturally curly hair. And the one thing that my dad always hated that that had to do with my hair was that I would cry every day that my mom would try to, brush my hair out. It was just like a torture session. But I was known for my thick, curly long hair. So one day I needed to have a trim and my dad said, oh, I'm going to take her to the hair salon. So he took me and he basically, there is a point to this. And he basically said to the hairdresser, okay, go ahead and give her a trim. And she cut from down my back down to about here. And she said, is this good? And I was like, okay, that's different. And then he's like, no, a little bit more. And then it just kept going up and up and up and up past my ears. So I was in the 3rd grade. That next day, and with naturally curly hair, my hair was basically just stuck to my head, right? So it was just gone. It was gone. And the one thing that everything knew about me, and I was kind of pointed out for, was gone. I went to school the next day and all of a sudden my older brother, my name's Monica, my older brother's name is Marco. And all of a sudden my new name for the rest of the year was Marco. I basically lost my identity during the 3rd grade. I was no longer Monica anymore. I was Marco. I was made fun of. I was, I just didn't want to go to school. And I wanted to become invisible in that moment. And I saw from that moment on this progression of wanting to be invisible in so many different areas of my life. And even though I knew I was happy being an entrepreneur, there were certain things that I wasn't allowing myself to do or to take the next step or to do things without fear because I felt it wasn't perfect. And I wasn't going to put anything out there until it was perfect, because if it wasn't perfect, that meant there was going to be pain around that. I didn't want to expose myself to something imperfect, which in my mind back in the 3rd grade, I was very imperfect. And I didn't deserve to be seen, and I wasn't seen. And so as I started growing through that experience, and I came to realize what was actually happening, I said, how many people live their life and work their business saying they want a business, yet don't actually do the things to be seen? It's almost like we self-sabotage ourselves. Like, yes, I want to make money, but let me go and stay busy in this area over here so that I don't make money. In our subconscious, we're saying, yeah, I'm not going to make money, but at least I'm doing the thing so it looks like I'm doing that. And so my calling and my commitment is to help women entrepreneurs to see themselves as they truly are, to see that their calling is so much bigger than their actual story. And so that's why, they say that business is like 90%, 95% mindset, right? It all has to do with how your mindset is. And so as I learned and transitioned into a faith-led form of approaching entrepreneurism, I saw that we do and we see things very differently. In regular entrepreneurism, it's a world of buying and selling. In faith-led entrepreneurism, it's a world of sowing and reaping. And so the idea is very different. The concept is very different. The activities and actions are very different. I believe that we are not bound by just the natural laws of the world. We have supernatural help with our Creator who has called us to a specific assignment. And if you have the heart of an entrepreneur and you see yourself as an entrepreneur, then that assignment is to actually create a connection with other people who can see you for who you are. And just imagine, because I don't think that God makes mistakes, and he says that he knows your plans and that he has already been there. He's been back there and he's already been where you are planning to go. Then is there really room for failure in your business? So this idea of hiding, this idea of not being visible, of not being enough, really becomes obsolete, because the truth is your calling is not yours. Your calling has been given to you. And our only job is to step in and take the steps that we need in order to move forward in that calling. And so, we are given these assignments. And we tend to try to control things so much that I believe God isn't really able to use us. He's not able to move through us in order to reach those people that he's calling us to reach. And so entrepreneurship from a faith-led perspective is definitely where we are working in a gift economy. What does that mean? It means we all have specific gifts. And how is God going to use us in those gifts? Lots of times people will tell me that I work with, because I teach branding, I teach visibility, I have coaching groups, I have a membership group, different things like that. And they'll say, I have nothing to say. I don't know how to talk to people about my product, right? What do I do? And the thing is, let's start with the lowest hanging fruit. Let's start with the easiest thing. What is that? It's your gift. That didn't come out of nowhere, that there is a purpose in that gift. And what if your gift, I had someone tell me, well, my gift is actually knitting. I'm really good at knitting sweaters, and I give them as Christmas gifts. I do all of these things. So how am I supposed to come over here and sell this product if my gift is really knitting? And I said, you know what? The amazing thing is if you were to come into the social media space sharing about your knitting, yet while you're knitting, talking about your product and your services, you would have so many more people open to listening to you and talking to you and creating what I like to call touch points with you. And so it's about us understanding that our gift is going to give us a heads up. It's going to give us the spotlight. And now we get to choose how our industry is going to look different because we are in it. Lots of times we look at the gurus and we see people all over the place and they are saying, do this, do that. You fit into this mold here. You fit into this funnel here. Do things this way. But when you are called by God to do a specific job and to fulfill your assignment, he wants you to stand out, and he wants you to stand out with the gifts that you already have. And he wants you to use those and embrace those and not be shy with it. Basically, if I were to ask someone in your family or your best friends, what is Stephanie good at? What is Katie good at? What is Beth or Judy good at? Or Tracy, what would they say? What would they say? That's where you start building your brand. That's where you start getting noticed. And that is where your calling is, because people are always the go-to for something. Right? Tracy's going to be making bread, or I don't know if you already made it, right, Tracy? So who's the go-to for that? You, right?
Yep.
Exactly. And so, but what if Tracy was selling makeup? What if that was her business, selling makeup? Okay. What do? You make bread and you talk about your favorite colors. You make bread and you talk about, our face is just like this dough. The more you take care of it, the more you knead it, the more you add the right ingredients to it, the prettier it looks and you want to eat it, right? So just like that piece of bread that you just want to, scarf down, this lipstick will do the same for you, right? There are so many ways to integrate who you are into your gifts, right? And so that is something really, really important. Your product may be something that everyone can use, but not everybody is for you. That is something that we need to also learn when it comes to being the go-to, that it's okay that not everybody's for you. I believe that God has specific people set up for us where we meet them at the intersection of our obedience in fulfilling our calling. They are waiting for us. And so I never worry about if I put out a program or do something, am I going to make a sale? I already know that if I am following the promptings that I'm feeling about what I should be doing in my business, that the right people will come, right? The right people will come. And so it's super important for us to be willing to understand and to maybe go narrow so that we can actually speak to the hearts and the minds and the pain points and the desires and the dreams of the people that we are called to serve. Super, super, super important. So how are we going to create that influence? I'm sure many of you have heard the story of Adam and Eve, right? Where Eve just was too hungry. She went and she ate the apple, right? So they ended up figuring out that they were in their birthday suit and all of a sudden they're wearing fig leaves to try to hide themselves. In 2020, I don't know if you have noticed a trend or not, but in 2020, people want, what's that famous word? Authenticity. People want to see you as you are. People are happier when they see you without your makeup, in your PJs, with your hair all messed up. Why? Because they're like, oh my gosh, okay, maybe I can look up to you because you look like me in the morning, right? God is saying it's time to remove the fig leaves. Let's be who we are, because the more you embrace who you are, it's not the Monica in the third grade that had no hair. It's the Monica in the third grade that had the same heart she does today. And so the more that we can be in touch with that and be willing to share the power and vulnerability of our stories, as we bring that to the table, others will say, okay, this person has earned my trust. And we know that in order to be a person of influence, you need to be trusted, because a person of influence will say, go there, do this, purchase this if you think it's going to help you, whatever it may be. But that doesn't happen unless you have the work before that, the work that you have done before that. And that prior work can be as easy as going out and baking bread and knitting. But sharing with your audience that you have a powerful story that you can connect with your calling, with your assignment, and that you can pour into them. And that's why we say it's a business of sowing and reaping. I love dandelions. Dandelions are amazing because, when I was little, I would go and I would walk down the street and I would grab one, and you would blow on it and you would see all the little seeds, the little flowers just, floating off into space. I used to love those. But here's the truth about dandelions. A dandelion has the ability, they seem wispy, they seem kind of insignificant, they seem like they're neither here nor there. They come and they go. But have one dandelion seed fall in an area where there are none, before you know it, the whole landscape has completely changed. It is not the same place. Us being willing to let go of those fig leaves, to let go of the fear, to let go of the shame, to let go of the guilt, to let go of the past that maybe has kept us in shackles in one way or another, to not speak our voice, to not be our voice, to not live our voice, has the power to change the landscape in the life of that person that you are supposed to meet. You may think, well, it's just this one thing, but I'm sorry to tell you, that's a complete lie. It's not just one person. Our impact is generational. Because if you can make that one mom happy, how do you think she's going to act with her kids during virtual homeschooling? If you can make that one mom happy, how do you think she's going to work with her spouse? If you can make that one mom happy, how is she going to act with her clients? We have the ability to then, let's say that mom is happy, she treats her children in a different way, then those children go to school and they treat their friends in a different way. And then those friends get impacted and go and take that into their homes as well. So the commitment and the responsibility that we have as entrepreneurs who were given a gift is so powerful, is so important. One of the best ways that we can learn to have success in our business, and honestly, it's like directly correlated to the success in our business, is our ability to heal. It's our ability to heal. Because what stops us from being in the forefront are all the doubts. And where do all of those doubts come from? They come from our past experiences, not from your calling, from your past experiences, from how you absorb the emotions and the circumstances around you. I'll never forget, I was listening to this lady who is an expert on finances. And she had a client who was like a six-figure earner. And she just could not, even though she was making money, but for the past 20 years, she stayed in the same income bracket. She could not break that. And she didn't understand why. And she's like, well, maybe I just need to learn how to make a budget. Maybe it's as simple as that. So she hired this finance coach. And as they dug deeper into her story, it was so amazing for her to get this realization. And it went back to when she was in junior high. She had this group of friends in elementary school that she was really tight with. And then, you know, you go into junior high and you're exposed to a lot more kids. And then maybe you have a few people coming into your friend group. And then all of a sudden you've got other influences there. Well, she was a person who didn't have much. And on that first week of school, she went to school saying, wearing her Weeboks instead of Reeboks, right? And so she got made fun of for that. And all of a sudden, she said to herself, I will never be made fun of again. And what happened? She got her degree, she started her business. And where did all her money go? In the new car, in the new shoes, in the jewelry, because she vowed that she was never going to be made fun of again. We need to understand where our energy leaks are coming from. And our ability to heal is one of the biggest reasons why we don't move forward. We are carrying things from other places that we are not called to carry, that are not our own. And so one of the things to learn from this, as we gain awareness around our past and our present and where our future is going, which already has a plan, and there is success written all over it, is that we can be 100% responsible for where we are now. And we may say, well, but all of these things people did to me. But the truth is, by taking ownership of where we are now, it gives us the key to freedom. It's our ability to change. And so we no longer start arguing for our limitations, which is where we tend to stay as entrepreneurs. So to wrap up, this is a time for renewing and for restoring. And sometimes a restoration can get a little bit messy. It really can. Have any of you seen, you're redoing a bathroom or a kitchen? It gets really messy. But within that space where we are learning more about ourselves, where we are learning to be more vulnerable, and where we are learning to own our calling and learning to trust ourselves in that, it opens the doors for other people to trust us as well. And through that trust, you will slowly get to, or quickly, gain that influence that you need in order to be the go-to. And so I want you guys today to just think, who do I want people to see me as? Am I the tech person? Am I the cooking person? Am I the, creative here or there? Who am I? And once you can say, this is my gift, this is how I'm going to sow it, let God help you do the reaping in that area, and you will see it flourish like you never have before. So thank you so much. That is what I wanted to share with you all.
Thank you, Monica. That was great. We have about 2 minutes for any sort of Q&A if anybody has questions for Monica. Or Monica, I don't know if you have time to go to Central Perk after the session is over, but that's another place where we can continue the conversation.
Sure, my pleasure.
Any questions from the attendees? No questions? Okay. Well, then we will end the session, and you're welcome to stay or to move on to another session. We will be starting preparation for our next presentation in 10 minutes. So thank you all for attending. Thank you so much, Monica. It's terrific.